more opposition presence will check rising costs. What do they mean by check rising costs?
How long ago did you join opposition politics?
I have joined opposition politics since I was 21.
For Tanjong Pagar GRC, it's like PAP stronghold. Why do you rush into the stronghold?
I mean, everybody wants to go and pick easy fruits. The people there do not have an alternative voice. The same thing could happen like in Marine Parade, Bradle Heights, where 130 over 1,000 people were denied their democratic opportunity to vote.
And what do you think caused this like automatic walkover, in your own opinion?
Well, no one showed up. I mean, in life, every day you show up. But on nomination day, you need to physically show up. And of course, there was some miscommunication within the political parties of who is going where, which caused a four-corner fight for Tampines GRC. And I mean, if there was better communication that, the WP were not going to Marine Parade, Bradle Heights, right? There would have, someone else would have gone there and 130,000 Marine Parade residents would have gotten a chance to vote, even if they wanted to vote for the PAP and return them in.
Is it because the PAP government called a snap election, so all the opposition political parties they have very little time to react?
It isn't exactly a snap election because it's expected and anticipated that the elections need to be called before November this year because the parliamentary term is coming to an end. It is more to the fact that, the oppositions, despite a combined opposition, you combine all the opposition, they do not have candidates or resources because not enough good people are stepping forward because they are just afraid how their life would turn out to be after they step forward. Yeah.
So in your opinion, is that whether you win or lose doesn't matter as long as you throw your hat into the ring?
There's always a saying, the better man. If there's a better man or woman who will step forward, I would have gladly went on with my life. The everyday men are not stepping forward.
Prabu.
Yeah.
Earlier you mentioned that not many people are willing to step forward to contest in a general election. But for this current general election, I've actually approached 11 opposition political parties, albeit very last minute. But I have gained some mini fame over the last 2 years. But why is it that not a single opposition political party is willing to field me as a candidate in the general election 2025? Is it because 8 years ago in 2017, I stated my aspiration to be a JAB actor, and then it is also quite widely known that I have this schizophrenia mental illness? Is it because of these two reasons that all the 11 opposition political parties, they are not willing to field me as a candidate in the general election 2025?
Whether or not you are interested in JAV or something, but you just mentioned you approach them at the last minute. You have to join an opposition party of your liking and work the ground and volunteer with them and have contacts and connection within the opposition party with fellow like-minded individuals. Opposition party individuals and candidates and members do not get paid. It's voluntarily on their own accord. So it's a band of good people, Singaporeans banding together for the betterment and of improvement of Singapore and Singapore citizens towards the future. And in your case, you should join up as an opposition volunteer and not just last minute.
Speaking about contribution, right? SDP says more opposition presence will check rising costs. What do they mean by check rising costs?
More opposition presence will check policies that influence whether the cost of living rise or not. For example, if you have more opposition in parliament that blocks or opposes the government's proposal of raising GST, it would affect the cost. levers and gears that you have to fix and not like try to do too many things at one time. Because a good example would be the shortest lived British Prime Minister Liz Truss. Liz Truss tried to do too many things in too little of a time.
Is it because she has the least trust?
It's good.
Least trust TRUST or least trust THRUST.
TRUSST, yeah, some
Least
Truss.
trust.
I thought she has the least trust, LEASTTRUST.
But didn't they already trust her out of the parliament?
They got rid of her as prime minister because of her policies were economically sound, economically conservative, but you need to have a plan. Like in one of my party's proposal is to gradually reduce the land cost to bring down the HDB price. That means review every quarter or every 3 months, you bring down the land cost by 3 to 5% to see how the resale market reacts. Because if you straight away take out the land cost, what will happen is the markets will crash, and that's not what we want. We want gradual change for the better, and not you go and pull some levers or pull some gears and things goes out of control.
Yeah, because some people that there are two sides to this equation, right? Those that are current property owners, they don't want their price to
Yes.
tank, and then there are those that haven't bought their house that they want to get a good price, right? So it's hard to balance.
Yeah. So okay.
I think,
when you mention-
sorry, to add to that, I think it's not only that, right? Because there's another thing about our public housing policies that is supposed to be a nation building thing, right? So do you think they're aligned with our like TFR policies?
Okay.
Because the wait time is so long, right? And that's
Okay,
a common pain point as
the
well.
public, that's a point of contention and a pain point of the wait time, about 3 years, 5 years, then you apply the whole process and procedure of getting the HDB, you apply for the BTO, you do the balloting, and you until the point you take key is about 5 years later. So I actually have some ideas of a way like proposing single scheme flats, right, for young singles, to bring it down to about 21 years old. Now they have it at 35 years old, and there are other parties
Too
that
late.
propose about 28 or so. So as long as whoever who is working a few years or started working want to move out of the parents' house, this will be a viable
Option,
option
right?
to let them go out, have some independence, and they want to live on their own. That will improve the fertility rate lah.
No, because they cannot bang in their parents' house, right?
No,
I mean, like,
it-
come on, guys, like, you know.
It makes
Yeah.
sense also because when they are independent earlier, they got their own place, and earlier in life they might get married earlier lah.
Oh, right.
They might
So
get
you think one
married
of the
earlier.
one of the biggest like downward pressures on the TFR is the fact that many young Singaporeans simply don't have their own space.
Yeah, they do not have their own space. They live with parents because of the expensive cost of housing, and at the same time, the TFR, we are even below other developed countries. Like, I mean, of course, almost all developed countries are not
Well, we're below
reproducing, reproducing themselves. Like, for example,
Yes.
it's about 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6.
1.2.
We are 0.97.
But
We are below the one even. So
I'll add to that, and if to make that a bit more, give more context, right? Our current TFR is 0.9798.
yeah,
Okay, but that's not homogeneous. So if you look at certain demographics, it gets even worse,
yeah.
right? Yeah. So if you break this down by maybe ethnic groups,
Ethnic groups,
Yes.
yeah, the Chinese
0.85.
exactly
Yeah.
is lower, so they are not
almost South Korea levels.
yeah, correct.
Yeah.
They are not reproduce. Of course, why the majority contributor to the number of 0.97 is because the Chinese are the majority, right? When they bring down to 0.85 or something, so they play a factor of bringing it down to 0.97. But however, it is across the board, be it regardless of race,
Yes.
Indian, Chinese, or Malay.
Malays are 1.8, so even they're not hitting replacement as well.
Yeah,
But
Everybody's
actually, the main thing is sometimes about the juggling act that people have to do, right? The key thing why people don't want to have children, other than people like me that really don't like children. So it's because you have to juggle too many factors. Like you might have money, you might be earning well, but if you have a child, your career will be fucked for a while, right? That's the honest truth.
Yeah.
And in Singapore, like who wants your career to be screwed?
So this is where we need to have policies and we need to have like support. We want to collectively propose a free education using existing revenues and investment income from childcare all the way up to university for every Singaporean or Singapore child. So where is this? They always ask,
where's the money coming from?
Where's the
Right,
money
yeah,
coming
yeah.
from? The first source of money is the foreign scholarship. We are giving about a few $100 million to foreign scholars yearly.
Oh, sorry,
This has got to
Prabu.
stop and it has got to go back to our
Singaporeans.
own
Yeah,
Singaporeans.
correct.
We have been running budget surpluses after budget surpluses. That's where the reserves is coming from. It's coming from tax and coming from net revenue, investment income. Yeah, net revenue, investment income, contributions. So we are not replacing ourselves sufficiently below the point of 2.1. So who are we exactly building these reserves for? We are building it for new citizen children?
The
or-
aliens still.
Yeah.
Actually, my dad pointed this out because I had coffee with my dad recently.
Yeah.
And he said that, your grandfather came here from China. Now like me and him together, we built this nation up. But then it seems like there's nobody to pass on all this stuff to. And if we're just going to like keep our population up by importing people outside, they are the ones that are inheriting the stuff that
So
are left
what
for
I
the
would
kids.
Inevitably,
Yeah.
right, Singaporeans will cease to exist.
Yeah.
We're already losing Singlish. Gen Z don't sound like
So
us.
what I would like to mention was we actually lack the political will. The money is there. It's just that the political will of the people and the parties might not be there. The hot question of how we are going to fund it is there is year after year of surpluses. You spend the surpluses back into education and healthcare. You even after spending the surplus, right? There is not the entire surplus. Even if you spend half of currently 50% of the surplus goes into reserve, you can spend up to 40 go into the reserves. Then there is a net income from the investment that comes in. You do not have to be ultra conservative or ultra tight. Your financial planner comes and sells you very expensive plan to say that you will retire very early, you'll retire very young, very rich, but you're struggling to eat today. It's something like that in a bigger sense. So I'm not trying to advocate for spending until totally no money for tomorrow, to spend every dollar that you have today or a week. But the spending of the needs of here and now cannot be compromised just for a future, because if you don't live today, right, where is the future? Basically,
Then Prabu, since the opposition is advocating for free education from primary school all the way to university.
actually, it's from childcare all the way to university.
Okay. So can we also advocate for free housing also? Because as you know, the Singapore government controls the HDB. HDB build flats. So HDB is a government organization and is owned by the Singapore government. So the pricing of houses don't have to be pegged to the resale market. For example, the Singapore government could choose to sell the 3-room flat at maybe 10K or 20K, or they could provide free housing for all Singaporeans.
But Teo, there's one
Teo,
thing.
cannot.
Yeah. What will happen
No,
to the
no, it's
resale
okay.
market if
I would answer that anyway. Okay, so with regards to free public housing, nothing is free. If you mention if it's free, who is going to pay the people who built your house, the engineers and the architects? They need to be paid, and when they are paid,
The value
there
is
is a
created,
cost. There is an expense and cost to be recovered, and of course, the people you wouldn't want to work for free, right?
Prabhu, I want to ask you some personal questions because although like we all know about your content, there are some voters that don't know about you as a candidate, right? Why do you choose to enter politics? You know, you come from a financial banking background, you have a decent job. Why take on this additional work and cause yourself stress?
Well, someone has got to do it, and of course, as I earlier mentioned, more people need to come forward, step forward, and have a willingness or heart to serve those who are being left behind, those who might not communicate well, or those who are marginalized or segmentalized and discriminated in one way or the other. And I see, of course, En Ming, I've known him for a long time.
How long ago do you join opposition politics, and do you find yourself frequently get fired from corporate jobs for the past 10 years, 20 years, 30 years?
I have joined opposition politics since I was 21. Before I turned 21, I was actually helping out with the old crowd when JB Jeyaretnam was still alive.
You know, there's a stereotype that if you join the opposition, you will not have a peaceful life. But it seems that you've still been able to live a pretty fulfilling life, and without any like oppression.
I keep my work separate from my social causes.
So it's possible to do that. That's why you've been able to sustain such a long so-called pursuit in politics.
Pretty much.
Okay.
So for the past 15 years when you were in opposition politics, you did not experience frequent firing and termination from your corporate jobs?
No, I have not actually. Politics and parliament got more competitive, we would not have MPs sleeping. I am okay with full-time MPs let's say occasional doze off in parliament, because I understand MPs work through the night, sometimes a meet the people session and stuff.
Okay, that's a fair statement.
That's a fair statement, but we have got full part-time MPs holding other full-time job, juggling this, looking after residents as well as turning up to parliament. I think this has got to stop, because the guy is already getting about a good 14,000 as MP allowance. That is about close to 2 overtime higher than the average median. The average median income is about 5,000 to 6,000 around there.
Average median income is about 4.7k.
There about. So the average median income is there about. So the parliamentary pay is about 3 times higher than the average median. That there is a disconnect and disengagement. I would prefer that MPs are full-time.
Can I get your opinion on whether the Singapore Police Force is subservient and docile to the PAP government?
No, they are quite fair actually. But based on they are quite fair.
It's just protocol, right? And
what needs to be done is the proper processes, and I mean, the police also arrested Ishwaran, right? Former minister for
over the Harry Potter tickets.
Harry Potter?
Harry Potter concert tickets
all the minor,
all the minor stuff. The 下水.
I didn't realize
what a way to go
you
down.
mentioned it's a concert. When you mentioned it's a concert, then I didn't know specifically it was Harry Potter.
So Teo En Ming says he's a complaint king. So do you think Singaporeans we complain too much?
As a complaint king, I mean, isn't that a person's right to complain? But complaining doesn't solve problems. When you complain, right, you can do that as a first step, but what is the next step? You've got to think through to solve the problems and think through the solutions to the complaints to find the light at the end of the tunnel.
What do you wish for the future of Singapore and for Singaporeans?
We hope to have a balanced parliament. We hope to have a voices of the voiceless or underrepresented heard in and out of parliament into policy making and law making. So people do not get left behind or fall through the cracks.
So we want to thank Prabu for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you very much. En Ming, thank you very much for arranging it. And Jonathan, thanks for having me.
Thanks.
And Popo, glad to have met you after watching all your content online. And
Thank you.
thank you very much, Shen, for doing the most of the technical stuff as well as playing the
I'm his bodyguard. Have to take care of our president
Yeah.
here. So
Alright.
VIP.
If you wear that and come out with me, people will be thinking that you're following me around, and I need bodyguard, but
You
I
need a
don't,
bodyguard?
I don't.
He doesn't. Singapore is safe.
Singapore super safe.
No guns. No
Super
guns.
safe.
No guns. So thanks guys. Like and subscribe.